Welcome back to Unshut's Weekly Quickie, where we like to keep things just a little quick. So if you're into that wham bam thank you ma'am, this is the place for you. Today we are talking Big Brother, the new season, season 27. And hey, it's okay if you are not into Big Brother. This episode can still be for you because we're going to be doing a little bit of shit talking, and sometimes a little shit talking is all we need. I am a big reality competition fan, but full disclaimer, I do not watch the live feeds that go on 24/7. That is next level, too much time on your hands, and honestly, I am not about that life. I want to talk about the cast, first impressions, but also talk about what I personally think the worst part about this season is, and also who I would like to see take the win. So to kick things off, I'm just going to go down a list, courtesy of Goldberry's article, Big Brother 27 cast, meet the 16 new house guests and one returning player. Here we go. The first one they have is Rachel Riley. First of all, I never really watched her season. I was a little bit late to the party when it came to Big Brother. I just started getting into it about maybe 5 to 6 seasons ago. However, I did watch her on The Amazing Race, and so I went down the deep dive on some of her clips. I think that's where I saw her. I'm not too sure. No one quote me on that, but I do remember going down the deep dive of who she was. I thought she was a very animated person. I don't necessarily have anything good or bad to say about her in this cast, but since we're talking first impressions, the one thing I will say about her on this show is that it almost feels like they wanted a Kate from Below Deck, The Traitors kind of vibe, and so they went with Rachel. It's not necessarily sticking for me, but I'm curious to see how far she'll make it on the show. The next one they have is Ashley, and the only thing I'll say about this one is the look on this girl's face drives me fucking nuts. I just recently told my partner how she constantly has this look on her face you want to smack. Like, I hate to say it, she always has this like dumbfounded look on her face and it drives me fucking nuts. But I will also say this, as much as it annoys me, I do feel like she also has the face that if she cries, you're crying with her, and also has this type of face of if someone makes her cry for no fucking reason, I'm throwing hands for her, okay? So as much as she annoys me, I actually do like her. I think that there's so much more to the liveliness of her face, and I hope we get to know her a little bit more throughout the season. But first impression, as more episodes come, that look is there, and I'm sure some of you guys will know just what look I'm talking about. The next one we have is Ava. Fucking love this bitch, okay? I am obsessed with her hat. She gives me East Coast old money vibes with the gloves, and I love everything about her vibe. And honestly, she won me over in the first episode when she's strolling down the streets of the city with her art supplies doing aura paintings. Like, that is so fucking crazy, and it's so unhinged on its own. But she also won me over early on in the season when Homegirl started to twerk and shake her ass. Love her energy. I definitely think she is one we need to keep our eyes on because she is definitely going to make a mark on the show. And on Sunday's episode, I was hollering at how she was with the fucking glasses and then singing in her room after her big win. I just think she is a fun character, but I love that it doesn't feel like she's playing a character. There is a level of authenticity with her that I really appreciate because we can always tell when someone's just playing a part or trying to get camera time. It comes a little bit too forceful, which we'll talk a little bit more about with another character on here, but definitely rooting for her for sure. The next one is Will. He's definitely not one of my favorites, but he's not one of my least favorites. One thing that I do notice that I appreciate that he's doing is that he is being so aware of how the young ones are playing the game, whether it's they're playing it scared, whether they're being petty. I love that he's well aware, but he's also not exploding and being vocal about it. He's keeping it to himself and being observant, and I think that's going to pay off for him this season. So hopefully he makes it far. He is definitely someone I can definitely see at least top 3. What are your thoughts on him? Is he too reserved? Is he playing too much of a safe game? He's definitely not one that stands out to me immediately, but he is someone that I would like to see go far for sure. The next one is Catherine. I don't really know how to feel about her. I don't think she is very memorable, and I absolutely hate that this season she'll be remembered for a showman's. Don't like that for her. I think it's so whack, and there's just really not much about her. I don't think that she's done anything that impressive, and so far, she's kind of like for me, okay? Nothing personal. The next one is Keanu, and man, am I rooting for this guy so much. More so because I like rooting for an underdog underdog. And the fact that so many people are against him is definitely one of the reasons why I want to see him go far for sure. I thought that the house overreacted with his, I'm gonna pick everyone one by one. Bitch, isn't that what everyone's trying to fucking do on this show? Pick everyone out one by one and win the whole show. So I thought that they overreacted to that. And I think that every show always needs a villain. And I think that he was the perfect example of how he kind of fell into that trap. And it's really unfortunate because he's so calm. And in a lot of ways, yes, he's blown up, but come on now, you're alone in this house and everyone's painting you out to be this big bad wolf and also a huge competitor and threat to their game. So I can see how some of the outbursts have been caused due to him feeling isolated. And so for that reason, I'm rooting for him because he is such an underdog and he's not doing so bad. I love watching him win and take himself off the block. He's definitely one that I am rooting for. And hopefully this week we see more people playing the game with him instead of trying to play it against him, because I only think that if they really want him out that bad, that's the way to do it instead of fueling his fire for him to come back swinging and winning every single time. So hopefully they change the strategy up, but I think he's a very likable guy. And every time he competes, I am rooting for him. He is definitely one that I'm like, damn, talk about a true underdog story this season. This is definitely one of them. But I would like to see people give him a little bit of a fucking break, all right? Pick someone else to get out. Like, I don't know, someone who's in a fucking showman's, because we all know how sometimes a showman's can be really bad for your game when there are two people, basically two votes that are guaranteed to vote the same. Break that shit up. The next one on the Gold Derby list is Kelly, and man, she is so fucking annoying to me. I was really rooting for her in the beginning because I loved that she was this like unexpected player. First of all, she has great hair. Has anyone else noticed she has amazing hair on the show? But where she is so fucking annoying to me is it made no sense to me that she would be so emotionally impacted by being put on the block, even though she was asking people to put her up for elimination. I'm like, so fucking dumb. So I thought that the tears, the crying was just so overdone, which honestly, let me go ahead and just say this season, the crying is so fucking dumb, all right? But when it comes to her specifically, I thought putting herself up, sure, the first time, what a big victory, what a big story. But then to do it a couple more times and then each time cry about it and then make herself feel like she was this isolated girl, so fucking dumb. Hopefully that's just strategy, but so far I don't like that. The next one on the list is Lauren. And did anyone else notice that she was kind of missing in a couple of episodes? Like she wasn't really highlighted or anything? Is there anyone that's watching the live feeds who maybe has some insight about this? Was she sick? She's definitely one I don't necessarily have a big opinion on. She hasn't really done much to stand out in my opinion. So on to the next one. Next one on the list is Mickey, and this is the only thing I'll say about her, okay? Something that pisses me off about people in general is when they tell you, hey, I'll respect whatever it is that you have to say or do, and then you share that with them, and then they react to it and they want to go against it. It's like giving someone that green light to, hey, say what you have to say, it's all good, but then when they say it, you're defensive and you shut them down and then you try to be combative. I don't like that about her play. It rubs me the wrong way, and honestly, her HOA power was such a waste in my opinion. I thought that it was very ego-driven, which is pretty spot on considering that is her approach when she has conversations with people in the house. She tells them like, hey, no, it's your play. I'll respect whatever you want to do. And then she wants to be a little bit combative and try to control the situation. So because she used it as an ego move and not a very strategic move, I thought it was such a waste. What are your thoughts on that? The next one is Morgan. Don't really have much to say about her as a player on the show, but isn't she so stunning? I am obsessed with her eyebrows. She definitely has like top model vibes, like between the eyebrows, the body, the hair. I just love her look. But as a competitor, as a cast member on this show, don't really have much to say. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overlooking, but she's a stunning girl. So curious to see what else she's going to do on the show to stand out. The next one on the list is Riley. Hate to say it, but his reaction to Mickey taking his HOA was such a bitch move. Hated everything about it, and I was actually rooting for him up until that point. I thought that the way he handled it was so annoying, but the showman's, I think that his savior complex complex of like, I'll protect you. I will not let that happen to you is so annoying to me. It's Big Brother, bitch. Calm down. Like, this is not a love show. Even alone on the scenes where he's like holding her, hugging her, and the way they're just coupled up, I don't know why it gives me the ick. Anyone else have any opinions about that? I'm all for showmances, though. I'm not saying that showmances aren't good. They make good television and some good stories come out of it, like Rachel and her husband. But I do think that it's so annoying when they have this, like, I will protect you from the game. Let her play her own fucking game. She doesn't need you. So, thoughts on that? Showmances, are we in or are we out? The next one on the list is Vince. This man does not need to win. He needs a job, okay? Get out of this house and go get a job and move out of your parents' house, okay? I don't know why, but he gives me the impression that it's all a lie. I feel like he's one of those like industry plant put in by producers on purpose. He just has that look. I think his game of crying and trying to play everyone in the house, trying to have pacts with everyone, I think it's going to catch up to him if it's not already. I think some people are starting to see through it. I loved Will's reaction to him crying in front of him on Sunday. It was one of my favorite moments so far on the show. Everything about him just seems like a character, and for some reason, I cannot see him as an actual cast member of the show. I just see him as someone that was put in because producers wanted him in, and it just doesn't seem real to me. I just feel like he needs to get eliminated and go get a job and move out of his parents' house if that story is real. The next one on the list is Zach, and here's what I'll say about this. He is not very memorable to me. Everyone keeps thinking that he's this huge threat because he has muscles, and I don't fucking see it. And honestly, my gay radar goes off anytime he comes on the screen. He gives me the impression of someone who's like not coming out for a long fucking time. He'll string girls along just because he doesn't want to disappoint his family. He's definitely someone I would like to see get out because I feel like he's kind of a waste of space in the house. Not very memorable, not that big of a competitor, and no one come for me for the personal gay radar comment. Okay, these are first impressions. And speaking of gay, the next one on the list is Jimmy. And Jimmy, this message is personally for you. I think you're a great dude. There were a couple parts with you on the show that I really thought like you were this like really cool dude on the show, and I thought that you could have represented the gays out there so well. But when it came to your screen time, you gave the worst, corniest lines ever delivered on Big Brother. Right off the bat, my first impression of Jimmy was this is someone who practices his lines in front of a mirror before he says them to other people or before he says them in front of a camera. And something tells me that the way he prepped for Big Brother was having one-liners and how he was going to possibly create meme-like vibes. But honestly, it was such a flop for me. It gave cheesy porn vibes, like, you know, those overly scripted, bad fucking pornos. That's what it sounded like to me. But like I said, there were a couple of parts on the show that made me really like him as a person. I just wish we could have seen more of that and not more of this theatrical, I'm the gay character and I have the gloves and nothing's fake about me but these glasses. And the irony about that line is he left and he said something at the end, and even Julie was like, what were you talking about? Again, not memorable. I think that this is going to be one of those cast members that could have had such iconic moments on the show and then totally wasted it being corny and being so what I thought was scripted. So hopefully we get another round at him in another show or something, because like I said, there were some moments that made me think like, oh, I kind of like him, you know? So Jimmy, nothing personal, but you were corny as hell. The next one on the list is Adrian, and really the only thing I remember about him was him like crying and talking to himself, saying how he's going to do this for his mom and all this stuff. And if you've watched any of my other episodes, I will say this, that shit drives me nuts. I am all for having your family as motivation to go into these shows and win, but I think that this is a perfect example why the win should come because you want to win, because it's for you first. You have to put yourself first. At the end of the day, in my opinion, you can't give someone something you cannot give for yourself. And I think that this is one of the reasons why he was evicted, because his breakdowns, everything was just so about doing it for everyone else. You need to do it for yourself, dude. You've got to put yourself first before you can give it to others. And so I think that this is one of those reasons why I am so convinced that in a lot of these shows, people lose because they use their families as a motivator and they don't do it for themselves. And I think it's important to talk about how if you want the people around you to win, you have to be able to win for yourself first. first. I love that people are selfless and want to put others first, but that's not how the world works. So, thoughts on that? Does it make me shitty to say this out loud? Because I've said this on other episodes before, where sometimes I feel guilty for having that opinion. Again, let your family and the love for them motivate you, but you ultimately have to want this bad enough for yourself. The next one on the list is Amy. This is definitely someone I wanted to see go a little bit further in the game. I hate that her relationship with Rachel became kind of tainted in that way, and I really, really wanted to see her go further. And also, such a boss move to leave the house, and to this day, no one know that she was the one that was there incognito and had to fool the whole house in order to stay in, and how she was the accomplice that stayed on right off the bat with a challenge. And I thought that that was such a boss move to leave and never tell anyone about it, which brings me to one of my favorite parts about this season so far. I thought that this twist on the show so far was one of my favorites. Like the fact that someone came in with a task in order to be able to keep their place in the house was so fucking genius. And I hope they do more shit like this because it's such a boss move, especially if you can fool the entire house. And I just love that she never peacocked about it. I love that she was just kind of like kept it to herself. It was part of her move. And even though she's been evicted, I do think that that was one hell of a way to make your mark on a game. And it would be cool to see something similar like that to happen in other seasons. The next one on the list is Isaiah, also known as Zay. And for some reason, I'm having a hard time remembering him. So clearly not memorable enough. He's been evicted and he's also the last one on this list. But that wraps up my first impressions of the Big Brother season 27 cast. Really enjoying this season. Like I said, I loved kicking off the show with that plot twist of the cast member that was not supposed to be there, but if they won the challenge, they would get to stay, and no one still knows who it was. So fucking fun. But speaking of my favorite part of the show so far, respectfully, the worst part about this season are the Big Brother Unlocked episodes. No offense to Taylor and Derek, but they're so fucking boring. I think they're such a waste of episodes, and I hope that CBS reconsiders, hopefully putting some other people on the panel that are a little bit more alive, that are a little bit more entertaining, because it is so fucking whack and such a waste of airspace. But I really did like the concept, so I think maybe it was just the hosts. I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to recap episodes and talk about casts and have some guests on, it needs to be fucking interactive and fun and energetic. And it was just giving like news anchors. Like it was so boring. But that's all I have so far with my Big Brother review and my cast first impressions. But I will say this, who I would like to see win is 100% Ava. I would love to see her take the entire win, because talking about this unlocked episode with the winners, Taylor and Derek, right? They look like winners. They look like Big Brother winners. I would like to see someone as quirky as Ava win the entire thing. So hopefully this doesn't age poorly and she goes home like next week or something. But I would like to see her take the entire win. And I think she has the chops for it. I think that she's a perfect example of staying under the radar, but also being vocal and competitive, and also being a standout part of what makes the season good. So that's who I would like to see win. Who would you like to see take the win? Who do you predict will be the top three this season? Drop your predictions, if any, in the comments and let me know what you think. My name is Mo. I am the host of Unshut, weekly quickie episodes here on YouTube only every Thursday, and full episodes every Monday across all streaming platforms. And honestly, if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, you might as well subscribe, and I'll see you again next week.